Hello friends, now we will move to the second activity ratio, which is a trade receivables turnover ratio. This ratio indicates the speed with which the amount is collected from trade receivables. See friends, this ratio tells us how quick and efficient we are in collecting back cash from our debtors and our trade receivables. This ratio is also called the debtors turnover ratio. The formula for calculating this ratio is net credit revenue from operations, which is more like the net credit sales, divided by the average trade receivables. Okay, we will consider only credit revenue because we are calculating something related to trade receivables. So cash revenue does not matter to us here. We will divide the net credit revenue from operations by the average trade receivables to get the trade receivables turnover ratio. So it shows us how quickly we are able to collect cash from debtors. This debtor cycle starts from the point when we make credit sales to the point and ends when we collect back cash from our debtors. So it shows, this ratio shows us how many such cycles are happening in our business in 1 year. Now we cannot stop with this alone. We will also have to find out the average collection period, that is how long we take to collect back cash from a debtor. This can easily be found out by dividing the number of days in a year by the trade receivables turnover ratio. Suppose, just imagine we have a trade receivables turnover ratio of 2 times. How will we find out when we say that we have the receivables turnover ratio is 2 times? We can logically, if we think itself, we will guess that, okay, so one such cycle takes about 6 months. So that is 12 months divided by the trade receivables turnover ratio, which is 2. That is how we got that 6 months. So if we want to find the same in days, we will divide the number of days in a year by the trade receivables turnover ratio. Let us have a look at the case study for this ratio. There are two companies, one is the efficient company and the other is the inefficient company. Both companies have the same amount of credit sales, that is 5 lakh each, and the average trade receivables for the first company is 1 lakh and the average trade receivables balance for the second company is rupees 4 lakh. So this indicates that on an average, when we make 5 lakh credit sales, 4 lakh of that sales is collected back in cash in this company. But in this company, only 1 lakh has been collected back in cash and 4 lakh is still locked with debtors. So with this, if we calculate the trade receivables turnover ratio, this comes to around 5 times for the efficient company and to 1.5 times for the inefficient company. So this indicates that this collection cycle happens 5 times in a year for the first company and it happens only 1.25 times in a year for the inefficient company. So with this turnover ratio, if we calculate the average collection period for debtors, for this company it will come to around 2.5 months. It means that once we make a credit sale to the debtor, in 2.5 months we are able to collect back cash from the debtor. But in the case of this company, the average collection period will come to around 9.5 months. Isn't that too long, friends? We make credit sales and we take more than 9 months to collect back cash from that debtor. So that is why we say this company is inefficient and this company is efficient. Okay, now that we know the formula, we will look at each item of this formula. Net credit revenue from operations. It is a revenue that a company generates when it sells goods or services to its customers on credit, and because it is net revenue, we will have to subtract all the sales returns and the sales allowances. So in the question, friends, if the amount of credit revenue is not given, we can take the total revenue from operations as the credit revenue. We will just have to write an assumption to that effect. We will have to write that because credit revenue is not given separately, we will assume that the total revenue is from credit sales. Next item is the trade receivables. You already know trade receivables is a balance of money that is due to a firm for goods or services delivered to customers but not yet paid for by the customers. This includes two things, both debtors and bills receivables. For the calculation of this ratio, provision for bad and doubtful debts will not be deducted from the total trade receivables, because just imagine we are creating provision for bad debts and we are reducing that from our debtors and then calculating average trade receivables. It will automatically reduce the average trade receivables and eventually lead to an increase in the receivables turnover ratio. So we do not want to get misled like this. That is why we will not reduce the provision for bad and doubtful debts. We will just take the gross debtors balance to calculate the average trade receivables. So average trade receivables is equal to opening receivables plus closing receivables by 2. The purpose of this ratio is that by comparing the current year's ratio with previous years, the management can assess whether the credit policy of the firm is efficient or not. It can even do inter-firm comparisons and compare themselves with other competitors. This ratio is expressed in times, and we will have a look at the interpretations. A high trade receivables turnover ratio denotes that the amount from trade receivables is collected quickly. We are quite fast and efficient in collecting cash back from the debtors. So because we are quick and fast in collecting the cash, there will be lesser risk for us that will arise from bad debts. We won't have so much of bad debts. And also the expenses of collection that we will have to incur will be low. And because we don't lock up too much cash in debtors, we will have collected back cash from debtors, and so the liquidity of the firm will be in a safe and sound position. When the ratio is lower, it denotes that the credit policy of the firm is inefficient. It means that we are giving too much credit to customers, or we are giving credit to customers who do not even deserve such credit. We are not proper in analyzing the credit worthiness of customers before giving credit to them. And this will obviously lead to an increased risk from bad debts, and it will also show that the management is inefficient, or the management is negligent on its policy towards debtors. Having understood this, we will move to the problems for trade receivables turnover ratio. This is illustration 57. We are asked to calculate the trade receivables turnover ratio and the average collection period from the following information. What are the information that are given to us? We have the total revenue from operations, we have the cash revenue from operation, and we have the revenue from operations returns, which is like the sales returns that are out of the credit revenue. And then we have the trade receivables opening balance and the trade receivables closing balance. Well friends, according to the formula for calculating trade receivables turnover ratio, we need the net credit revenue from operations and the average trade receivables. There is now, we won't have any problem calculating the average trade receivables because we are directly given the opening balance and the closing balance of trade receivables. But net credit revenue is not given directly to us, friends. We have the total revenue and the cash revenue. So we will have to subtract the cash revenue from the total revenue to get the credit revenue. So first we are finding out the amount of cash revenue in rupees, which is 20% of the total revenue. That comes to rupees 45,000. And then we are finding out the credit revenue, that is the total revenue minus the cash revenue. That gives us a credit revenue rupees 1,80,000. Then because they have given returns for this credit revenue, we are finding out the net credit revenue, that is credit revenue from operations minus revenue from operations returns. That is rupees 1,80,000 minus 20,000, which will give us rupees 1,60,000 as the net credit revenue from operations. And then we are finding out the average trade receivables, that is opening receivables plus closing receivables by 2. Both the data is directly given to us. So just substitute the data and we will find the answer as 10,000 is the average trade receivables. Now we can easily substitute these values and find out the trade receivables turnover ratio. 1,60,000 divided by rupees 10,000, that will give us the trade receivables turnover ratio as 16 times. And they have also asked us to calculate the average collection period. So we know the formula for average collection period is days in a year divided by trade receivables turnover ratio. The number of days in a year is 365 divided by 16. This is the number that we just found here. So substituting 16 and 365, we get the average collection period as 23 days. They have just explained this here. Average collection period of 23 days means that on an average, trade receivables or debtors take 23 days to get converted into cash. In other words, credit sales or cash is being locked up in trade receivables for a period of 23 days. That is what this 23 days indicate. Now we will move to the next sum, friends. Illustration 63. Calculate the amount of opening trade receivables and closing trade receivables from the following figures. Okay, so we are supposed to calculate the opening debtors and the closing debtors. They have given the trade receivables turnover ratio as 4 times. They have also given us a cost of revenue from operations, and gross profit ratio is given as 20%. And they say that closing trade receivables were 20,000 rupees more than what was there at the beginning. And they also say cash revenue from operations is 33 1/3% of credit revenue, of not of total revenue. It's 33 1/3% of the credit revenue from operations. Now for finding out the opening and closing trade receivables, first we will need the average trade receivables. So how do we find the average trade receivables? We have this formula here. To find out this average trade receivables here, we will need the trade receivables turnover ratio and we will need the credit revenue from operations. This data, trade receivables turnover ratio, is directly given to us in the question as 4 times. We will have to find out the credit revenue from operations. So we will first find out the credit revenue. They gave us that the gross profit ratio is 20% and the cost of revenue from operations is 6,40,000. So if the gross profit is 20%, what does it mean, friends? It means that if the revenue from operations is rupees 100, then gross profit will be rupees 20, and what will be the cost of revenue from operations? It will be the revenue minus the GP, that is rupees 100 minus rupees 20, so cost will be rupees 80. And if the cost of revenue, we will use a simple direct proportion here. If the cost of revenue is rupees 80, then the revenue from operations, total revenue, will be rupees 100. So if the cost of revenue is rupees 6,40,000, which is given here in the question, for that amount, what will be the revenue from operations? That is what we are calculating here, and it comes to rupees 8 lakh. So we know that 8 lakh is the total revenue from operations. But for our calculation, we need the credit revenue from operations. For that, they have given us a hint here that cash revenue is 33 1/3% of the credit revenue. So if credit revenue is 100, then cash revenue will be 33 1/3. So simplifying this, we will get the ratio as 1:3. That is, cash revenue is to credit revenue, the ratio is 1:3. And if we convert this ratio into fraction, we will get 1/4:3/4. So this ratio indicates that if out of the total revenue, that is 1/4 of the total revenue will be cash revenue and 3/4 of the total revenue will be credit revenue. So having found the total revenue as rupees 8 lakh, we will just multiply it by 3/4 to get the credit revenue from operations. We get that as rupees 6 lakh. Now substituting both these data in the formula, we will find out the average trade receivables. That is credit revenue from operations, which we just now found as 6 lakh, divided by trade receivables turnover ratio, which is given in the question as 4 times. So dividing that, we get the answer as rupees 1,50,000. This 1,50,000 is the average trade receivables. From this, we can easily find out the opening and closing trade receivables, because they gave an information here that closing trade receivables were 20,000 more than the opening trade receivables. So to the average trade receivables, we will add half of the of this difference to get the closing receivables, and with this average trade receivables, we will subtract half of this difference to get the opening trade receivables. That is a calculation we have done in these steps. So doing that calculation, we get the opening trade receivables as rupees 1,40,000 and the closing trade receivables as rupees 1,60,000. Friends, you can also do this by assuming a variable of x. You will be familiar with that method also. So we have calculated what we are asked to do: opening trade receivables and closing trade receivables as rupees 1,40,000 and 1,60,000. With this, we are done with the sums for trade receivables turnover ratio. We will move to the next ratio now, which is a trade payables turnover ratio. This is this is very similar in fact to the trade receivables turnover ratio, friends. This ratio indicates the speed with which the amount is being paid to creditors. So this ratio says how quickly we are paying back cash to our creditors. This ratio is also called the creditors turnover ratio. So the number of times that is indicated by this ratio says the cycle from when we do a credit purchase to when we pay back the cash to the creditors. So the formula for calculating this ratio is net credit purchases divided by average trade payables. Doing this calculation, we will get the trade payables turnover ratio. And again, just like we saw in the previous ratio, the average payment will be the number of days in a year divided by trade payables turnover ratio if you want to find it in days, and if we want to find it in months, it will be nothing but 12 months divided by trade payables turnover ratio. We will look at each of the items of the formula. First, the net credit purchases. The total amount of credit purchases made less any discounts received and goods returned. That is what is the net credit purchases. So like we saw in the previous ratio again, if the credit purchases is not given in the question, we can very well take trade payables includes two things, that is creditors and bills payable. An average trade payables is a formula that we very well know: opening trade payables plus closing trade payables divided by 2, and it is also expressed in times. And what interpretations we have here is that a higher payables ratio denotes that the suppliers are paid more quickly. We are paying our suppliers in a prompt manner, and it increased creditworthiness of the firm. Naturally, when we pay our suppliers promptly, the creditworthiness of our firm will go up. And a lower ratio denotes that suppliers are not being paid promptly, that is, we are paying them belatedly, and so the creditworthiness of our firm will be damaged. We will move to the last ratio and activity ratio, friends, that is the working capital turnover ratio. This ratio reveals how efficiently working capital has been utilized in making sales. In other words, it shows the number of times working capital has been rotated in producing sales. The formula for calculating this ratio is net revenue from operations divided by working capital. This will give us the working capital turnover ratio. We know what the net revenue from operations is. It is nothing but it is similar to net sales. Operating revenue can be defined as the income that is generated by an entity from its daily core business operations. Yes. And how do we calculate net revenue from operations? Cost of revenue from operations plus GP, that is gross profit, will give us this net revenue. And working capital, we are very familiar with that. It is a capital of a business that is used in its day-to-day trading operations. That is what is working capital. And the formula for calculating working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. This ratio again is also expressed in times. And Okay, we will go to the case study and have a look at that. Here, see friends, the efficient company, the first company here, has a sales of rupees 5 lakh, and the inefficient company, the second company, has a sale of rupees 2 lakh. But see here, both the companies are maintaining the same amount of working capital, that is 1 lakh and 1 lakh. And when we calculate, okay, this is not trade payables turnover ratio, this is the working capital turnover ratio. So when we calculate the working capital turnover ratio, we see here that here it is 5 times for the efficient company and just 2 times for the inefficient company. So naturally, when we look at the information itself, we will come to the conclusion that this second company need not maintain this much of working capital. If 1 lakh of working capital is sufficient for a company with a sale of rupees 5 lakh, the company with a sale of rupees 2 lakh can proportionately reduce its working capital and have just the amount of working capital that it requires. Here it indicates that they have too much of idle working capital, that is too much of idle money is locked up in working capital. Okay, what are the interpretations of this working capital turnover ratio? A high ratio denotes that we are using our working capital in an efficient manner, and that the current assets are being, that is there is a quick turnover of current assets. So a high ratio is advisable and good for any firm, and a low ratio denotes that we are underutilizing our working capital. But friends, we must also note that a very high capital ratio is again denotes a risky position, because it shows a sign of over trading, and it also tells us that maybe there is shortage of working capital. Logically, just think of it, if there is shortage of working capital, naturally the number of cycles of working capital rotation will be more. So a very high ratio is again dangerous. And obviously, when there is shortage of working capital, we will have to face dangerous financial, that is liquidity issues. We will have to face a lot of liquidity issues in our firm. A very low ratio again is not advisable. That indicates a sign of under trading, and it also says us that the working capital we have is in excess of our requirement. We have blocked a lot of idle funds in working capital that is not actually required for us. We will have a look at the sums for working capital turnover ratio. Illustration number 71. Calculate working capital turnover ratio from the following. We have the revenue from operations given to us. We have current assets. We have total assets, non-current liabilities, and shareholders funds. All these information is given to us. We are supposed to calculate the working capital turnover ratio. Now, what is the formula for working capital turnover ratio? Net revenue from operations divided by working capital. So, revenue from operations is given to us here, but do we have working capital given directly? No. We are supposed to find out working capital, that is, we know the formula is current assets minus current liabilities. Do we have current assets given to us? Yes, we have it as rupees 5 lakh. And do we have current liabilities given to us? No, they haven't given to us. So first we are supposed to calculate current liabilities, with that we are supposed to calculate working capital, and with that we will finally calculate the working capital turnover ratio. How do we find the current liabilities, friends? We know that in the balance sheet the total of the asset side will be equal to the total of the liabilities side, the equity and liabilities side. So they have the total assets given here, rupees 8 lakh. So this will be the total of the equity and liabilities side also. So from that total, we will have to subtract the equity portion and the non-current liabilities to get the amount of current liabilities. So total assets minus non-current liabilities minus shareholders funds or equity. So substituting the numbers here, we find that current liabilities is rupees 2 lakh. With that, substituting current liabilities in this formula, we will find the working capital, that is current assets of 5 lakhs minus current liabilities of 2 lakh will give us working capital of rupees 3 lakh. Now we have all the information that we require, so we have to substitute it in this formula. So working capital turnover ratio is equal to net revenue from operations 12 lakh by working capital 3 lakh, that will give us a working capital turnover ratio of 4 times. So this is quite a simple sum. So with this friends, we are done with the activity ratios. Hope you understood it well.